I just read The Living Name by Śacīnandana Swami.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about the original mistake that we made. In order to break through the anarthas in the heart, it requires, first of all, to come to the stage of chanting purely, you have to realize that I'm here and Krishna's over there. And we have to have, in the chapter called Vipralambha, which means separation, you realize that you're apart from Krishna. And somehow or other, you've made a huge mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's there. He's the soul of our soul. But somehow or other, we've decided to enjoy separately from him, to control separately, to own things separately, to create our little fantasy playground. So when we realize that he's way over there and we're still here, then we have to call his name sincerely. And that is the essence of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, to call out to Krishna in that mood of, I can't live without you, Krishna. Mm-hmm. Radharani was like that. She couldn't live for a moment. And Lord Chaitanya was like that too. I just was reading Vipralambha, and Lord Chaitanya spent the last 12 years of his life in this little tiny room called the Gambhira in Jagannath Puri. And I saw a picture of it. I put it up on my Facebook page. And it's got a little tiny room, and he would sometimes rub his face against the wall, up and down and back and forth, and he would start bleeding. And then even though the doors were shut and the high walls, he would escape somehow or other. And the devotees were really worried. So they put a guy there in front. So whenever Lord Chaitanya moved, because it was a really small room, he would detect. He was Gauranga's pillow. So, that mood of separation, that he couldn't stand being without Krishna, and he went out to look for him. He was completely devastated all the time. But the ironic thing is that when you feel that separation, immediately Krishna's in your heart. It's like a paradox. You feel separate from Krishna, but at the same time, Krishna says, he told Arjuna, somebody who dances and calls my name like that conquers me. So that's the way we can chant. You can't artificially imitate that, but it requires purity, and we have to purify our mind and senses and purify all the anarthas in our heart that are creating this blockage. We're doing so many other things except for focusing on Krishna. There's one example, just tell a brief example of this. There's a zoo back in India, and the zoo burnt to the ground, and all the animals escaped. And they were all chained or behind bars or whatever, or behind wood. But there was one elephant that didn't escape. And the elephant was the strongest animal, so why couldn't it escape? And it was chained with iron chains and shackles. And it tried so hard to get away from those shackles that it started bleeding, and the flies were infesting his wounds. And finally he gave up. And the zookeeper took off his shackles and put a little flimsy rope. And he never escaped, because he was so used to being shackled. So that's our condition. We're so used to being in Maya, we're so used to being apart from Krishna, that we think we'll never escape. And so we don't try anymore, because we think it's impossible. So they sold him to the circus. So we don't want to end up like that elephant. We have to somehow or other break free of our chains and surrender to Krishna. But he'll help us, like Gajendra the elephant. He prayed to Krishna. Even animals can pray to Krishna.
Because they're spirit souls.
Yeah.
So we get back to this chanting, sound vibration. And personally, in my experience over the years, and I hate to say, but I've waited so long, much too long, to really take at heart the instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, yes, I would read it and read it and read it and so on. But then all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute. Krishna speaking. This is Krishna speaking to us directly. Bhagavad Gita. And it's their guide, it's a guidebook, a manual of instruction. And there's such depth and meaning to these instructions. And so much solace also in reading these instructions. So I highly encourage you all to take advantage of this literature that's been made available to us. And with faith and knowledge, both. Having faith in the holy name and take advantage of this knowledge, we'll become stronger and stronger and also get a better